Today we are going to look at a topic in our Unit 7 Part 1 called Completing the Square. So what we're going to look at today and tomorrow is a process that helps us take an equation and switch it into another format. Okay, so if we look at right here, completing the square, and this is kind of what I said, it converts, specifically we're going from standard form into vertex form. So we're going to start in standard, switch it to vertex. So let's review those formats. So standard form, remember, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Oops, not 6, c. And then we want to switch it to vertex, which is the format y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. And so vertex form, if you recall, is a very easy way to see the vertex. All right, so on this first example, I have all the steps listed over on the left-hand side. And then we're going to go through this first problem. I'm going to go step by step. All right, so step 1 says move the c to the other side. So the c value, remember, is the value, the constant, the one without a variable. So I'm going to move it to the other side. So when we move things back and forth across an equal sign, we add or subtract. So since it's currently negative, we will have to add it. All right, so now what I have on this side is y plus 247 equals x squared minus 6x. Now, what we want to do here is we want to add a value to both sides, okay? And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a blank on the left, add a blank on the right, because I'm going to put a number in those blanks. All right, so the number we're going to put in those blanks is this formula right here. We're going to take the b value divided by 2 and then square it. So the b value is negative 6. So I'm going to take negative 6 divided by 2 and I'm going to square it. So that's going to be a negative 3. And then negative 3 squared is positive 9. Okay, so I'm going to put positive 9 over here, positive 9 over here. So I'm able to do that because I haven't changed the value of the equation if I add the same thing to both sides. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify that down. So I'm going to add together 9 and 247 on the left. Oops, not y equals. It's going to be y plus 256 equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, right here. We are going to factor the trinomial. Okay, so here's the trinomial on the right into this format. Okay, and so it's going to be called a perfect square trinomial. So what we're going to be able to do is take whatever this b divided by 2 value was. Okay, so in this case it was a negative 3. And so that's going to be our factor. So let me show you on this first one what that'll look like. So if I do factoring aside from that, I would look at this trinomial and I would say 1 and 9 and 3 and 3 are factors of 9. If I want them to add up to a negative 6, then I'm going to have to recognize if I make both 3's negative, they add to negative 6 and multiply to positive 9. So I'm going to initially write it like this. I'm going to factor it, and I have x minus 3, x minus 3. So do you see there are two sets of x minus 3's? So what we can do is we can bring them together and call that one of them squared. So I can rewrite it like this, because there's two of them. So I want you to see here, b divided by 2 was the number negative 3. See, that's what we got over here? So what we're going to try to do is go straight from factoring to this step, because it will always factor into whatever this is, because we forced this 9 in the problem, so we forced this perfect square. Okay, now we want to get y by itself, so I'm going to move 256 back over here to the other side, and I'm going to have this equation, y equals, parentheses, x minus 3 squared minus 256. And now I am in vertex form. Okay, so now what I can do is I can state the vertex. So HK, so the opposite of the H value and then the K value. So my vertex is 3 and then comma negative 256. Okay, so that is completing the square. So we are going to shift the C value over to the left if it's not already there. We're going to add a blank. We're going to use B divided by 2 squared to calculate what goes in that blank. Then when we factor it out, we get to just a perfect square. We get a set of parentheses squared, and then we're going to move that number back over. Okay, let's do number 2. Now, if you want to try it on your own, go ahead and pause, and then get as far as you can. Okay, step 1, move the C value. So I'm going to take away 36 on both sides. So I have y minus 36 equals x squared minus 20x. And then I would highly encourage you to add these blanks, because if you don't do this, it's very easy to forget to add the number to both sides. All right, so I am adding the value of b divided by 2 squared. Okay, so my b value is negative 20. So negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. And then when I square negative 10, I get positive 100. So those go in both blanks. Okay, let's combine like terms and then factor. So I'm going to do 100 minus 36 on this side first. So that would be 64. So y plus 64 equals, and I'm going to do this factoring right here. Okay, so this is a perfect square trinomial, and it's going to factor into this value here. So x minus 10 times x minus 10. So I can go straight to x minus 10 squared. Okay, if you don't want to go straight to it, you can back up and work through over here your factoring. You should get the same thing twice, and then you can bring it back together. Okay, now I need to get the 64 on the other side. Now I'm going to move 64 over to the right, and then I will have y equals x minus 10 squared minus 64. So there's my vertex form. Okay. And then now I want to state the vertex. So I can see it very easily. It is positive 10, negative 64. Okay. Okay, I want you to pause the video and do number 3. Okay, I already have C on this side, so I can skip step 1. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. Y minus 16 equals x squared plus 6x. And I'm going to add those blanks in. Plus something, plus something. All right, I am going to add in b over 2, 6 divided by 2 squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3, oops, squared, and then 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add in 9 on both sides. Okay, 9 minus 16 is negative 7, so I will have y minus 7 equals, and then my perfect square will factor into x plus 3 squared. Okay, so I want to remind you that this number and this number will always match. Okay, now I'm going to move 7 to the other side. So I need to add it over there. And then I'm left with y equals x plus 3 squared plus 7. And then now I can state my vertex. It will be negative 3, positive 7. Okay. All right, so that is completing the square. And remember, the reason we're doing this is we're going from standard form to vertex form. Okay, standard to vertex. Okay, let's go to the next page. We are going to do a little bit more of switching formats. So what I want to do this time, actually I take that back. We just have more practice. I'm getting ahead of myself. So what I'd like you to do I want you to try these last 4. And then as you come back to the video, you can check your work. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going with the video and just work it out. But go ahead and pause so that you can try these on your own. Okay, I'm moving the C value. I'm going to add a number. Oh, my color switching here. Okay, so b divided by 2 squared. All right, so I'm adding in 25. 25. All right, so do the math on the left. That's going to be 22. Factor on the right. And then I'm going to move my 22 back over to the other side. So I have to get it out of the way and move it to the left, and then I'm going back and moving what I have to the right. Okay, so there's your H and your K. Vertex, -5, -22. All right, I'm going to work out number 5 now. All right, add in a blank plus blank plus blank, and then calculate the number you need to add in the blank. So b is -14, b divided by 2 squared. So do the math in parentheses first, then square it. You should always get a positive number because if you're squaring a positive, you'll get a positive. If you're squaring a negative, you'll get a positive. Okay, 49 minus 49 is 0. So I am left with y on the left. When I factor over here, I get x minus 7 squared. And so that's vertex form. Your vertex is going to be 7, 0. There's no number over there, so that's just going to be a 0. All right, so if you get a 0, that's kind of how we handle it. Okay, I'm going to keep going with 6 and 7. Add in my blank here. And I am going to put in -6 divided by 2 squared. So that would be a -3. Leads me to a 9. And then I will 9 and 16, or 9 and 6 is 15. Factor is going to be x minus 3 squared. And then I need to get y by itself. So I'm going to take away 15. So y equals x minus 3 squared minus 15. And then my vertex is +3, -15. Okay, last one. I need to move the 8 by adding y plus 8. Lots of 8s in this problem. All right, add in a blank so you don't forget to actually put a number on both sides. And then now calculate that number. So b is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 16 I will add in on both sides. Okay, 16 plus 8 is 24. So y plus 24. Factoring on this side, so remember we're going to always be putting that number in our factor. So x plus 4 quantity squared. And then I need to get y by itself. So I'm going to take 24 over to the other side by subtracting. So I am, for vertex form, y equals x plus 4 squared minus 24. And then my vertex is -4, -24. Okay, so that is the process of completing the square. If you have questions